You're sitting on your couch. It's 2 a.m. The rest of the house is dark, the only light coming from the TV. You're watching a documentary about a rescued sea turtle, and suddenly, without warning, your face does that thing. Your lip quivers, your throat tightens, your chest gets heavy, and then water starts leaking out of your eyeballs. You're crying. But stop and think about what is actually happening. You are in a completely safe room. There is no physical threat. And yet, your biological hardware is initiating a physical response that involves leaking saline, blurring your vision, and contorting your face into an expression that looks like a crumpled up receipt. Why? What is the actual mechanical purpose of this? We've all been told that we cry because we are sad, that it's an emotional overflow, that the feelings just get too big for the body to hold, so they spill out through the eyes. It's a nice, poetic idea. But from an evolutionary perspective, it is absolute nonsense. Evolution is a ruthless accountant. It does not do overflow. Every single biological trait costs calories. If a mechanism exists, it provided a survival advantage. Leaking water from your face, blurring your vision, and making your nose run when a predator is nearby is, mechanically speaking, a terrible idea. It compromises your senses. It makes you look weak. So if the overflow theory is wrong, why do we do it? Why are humans the only species on Earth that sheds emotional tears? The answer isn't just about sadness. It's about chemistry, the unique way our eyes evolved, and a deeply hard-coded social survival mechanism that is far more calculating than you realize. Let's look at the actual mechanics of a tear. Your eyes produce 3 completely different types. They look the same, but biologically they do entirely different jobs. First, basal tears. These are constantly in your eyes right now. Their job is purely mechanical. Lubricate the eyeball, keep the cornea hydrated, and provide a smooth optical surface. Without them, you'd go blind. Second, reflex tears. These flood your eyes when you chop an onion or get dust in your face. Their job is defensive. The eye detects an irritant and opens the floodgates to wash the threat out. Both make perfect evolutionary sense. They are maintenance and defense. But then there is the third type, psychic tears, emotional tears. This is where the biology gets genuinely weird, because emotional tears are not just water and salt. Biochemical analysis shows they have a completely different chemical composition. They contain significantly higher levels of protein. They contain manganese, which affects mood. But most importantly, they contain high concentrations of stress hormones, specifically ACTH, a precursor to cortisol, as well as prolactin and leucine enkephalin, a natural painkiller. Think about what that means. When you cry emotional tears, you are literally excreting stress hormones. You are sweating out the chemical markers of psychological distress through your eyelids. Crying is, in a very literal biological sense, an exhaust pipe for your nervous system. It physically flushes stress chemicals out of your body. But that only explains the liquid. It doesn't explain the visual signal. If crying was just about flushing stress hormones, you could do it in a closet. You wouldn't need to do it while your face is completely exposed to everyone around you. The fact that emotional tears are visible means they are a signal. And to understand that signal, we have to look at a bizarre piece of human anatomy. Look in a mirror. Look at the white part of your eye, the sclera. Humans are the only primates with visible white sclera. Every other ape has dark brown eyes that blend into the surrounding skin and fur. If you look at a chimp's face, it's incredibly difficult to tell exactly where they are looking. Their eyes camouflage their gaze. But humans evolved bright, stark white eyes specifically so we could track each other's gaze. It's a crucial part of our hypersocial communication. We need to know exactly what another human is looking at to coordinate and read intentions. But that bright white background has a secondary side effect. It makes the clear, salty water of a tear incredibly, undeniably visible. A tear rolling down a chimp's dark eye is invisible. A tear rolling down a human's bright white eye is a flashing neon sign. We literally evolved the hardware to make our tears easier to see. Why? Because the visual signal of a tear is one of the most powerful social triggers in the human brain. When you see tears in another person's eyes, your brain bypasses logical processing and hits your deepest neurological alarm bells. Studies show the mere sight of human tears activates specific brain regions associated with empathy and emotional regulation. The sight of tears literally alters your neurochemistry. It makes you more forgiving, more empathetic, and more likely to offer help. But the tears are only half the signal. The real mystery is the face. When you cry, your face contorts. Your inner eyebrows pull up and together. Your lower eyelids tense. Your lips pull back or quiver. Your chin crumples. Charles Darwin was one of the first to study this. He noticed the facial expression of crying is completely universal. It doesn't matter what culture you're from. When humans cry, they all make the exact same face. Darwin realized this meant it was an innate biological expression, not a learned behavior. But why that specific face? Because it is a signal of submission. It is a biological white flag. The crying face mimics the expressions of pain and fear, combining them into a single display of helplessness. By making this face and letting your vision blur, you are sending a deeply hard-coded message to your tribe. You are saying, I am overwhelmed. I am blind to my surroundings. I am completely vulnerable. I need you. In the deep evolutionary environment of our ancestors, isolated individuals died. If you were psychologically broken, you couldn't hunt or watch for predators. The only way you survived was if the rest of your social group stepped in and protected you while you were incapacitated. Crying is the mechanism that forces the tribe to step in. It is an involuntary signal that triggers the caregiving instincts of everyone around you. You are essentially hacking the social bonding software of your tribe, forcing them to drop what they are doing and attend to your needs. Now, here is where the skeptics jump in. But I cry when I am happy. I cry at weddings. If crying is a distress signal, why do I do it when everything is great? The trigger for emotional tears is not actually sadness, it is overwhelm. It is a sudden massive spike in emotional arousal that breaks your psychological homeostasis. Your brain is constantly trying to keep your emotional state regulated. When you experience something intensely sad, that baseline shatters. But the exact same thing happens when you experience something intensely joyful. Psychologists call the specific type of happiness that makes you cry kamamutta. It's a Sanskrit term translating roughly to moved by love. It's that overwhelming feeling of warmth when you see strangers helping each other or reunite with an old friend. When you experience kamamutta, your emotional arousal spikes just as violently as it does with grief. The brain's regulatory systems get overwhelmed, and the system vents the pressure the exact same way. It triggers the tears. So the tears aren't telling the tribe, I am sad. They are saying, I am feeling something so intensely that my biological systems cannot contain it, and I need to share this with you. It is the ultimate social bonding mechanism. But let's address the darker side. Humans weaponize everything. If crying triggers empathy, it can be faked. Crocodile tears. The manipulative sobbing to avoid punishment. As our brains got larger, we gained the ability to consciously control our facial muscles. We learned to simulate the crying face. But biological signals are incredibly difficult to fake perfectly. The genuine crying face involves muscles controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The specific way the inner eyebrow raises is almost impossible to do on command. Most people, when they try to fake cry, just squint. It looks wrong. Our brains are highly attuned to the difference between a genuine tear and a fake one. The fact that we can abuse the signal doesn't change why it evolved. It evolved because for 300,000 years, the ability to physically manifest your internal distress was the difference between surviving a psychological breakdown and dying alone. Let's take a step back. We spend so much time in modern society trying to suppress crying. We are taught it's a sign of weakness. We try to hold it in, blink away the water, and keep our faces still. We treat it like a biological glitch, but it's not a glitch. It's a feature. Crying is one of the most sophisticated social technologies in the human body. It is a chemical release valve. It is a visual beacon that instantly communicates your internal state. It is a submission signal that disarms aggression and triggers caregiving. We are the only animal that does this. Dogs whine, chimps scream, but only humans sit in silence and let water roll down their cheeks. That tells you something profound about us. We are so deeply dependent on each other that we evolved to physically outsource our emotional regulation to our tribe. When our internal world becomes too much to handle, our bodies literally reach out through blurred vision and trembling lips and pull the people around us in to help carry the weight. The honest answer to why we cry is that we cry because we are human. We feel things so deeply that the body had to invent a physical language just to express it. So the next time you find yourself crying over a documentary or a movie or just the sheer weight of being alive, don't be embarrassed. Let it happen. You are not weak. You are participating in a 300,000 biological ritual that connects you to every human who has ever survived by relying on the people around them. And what about you? When was the last time you let yourself cry without trying to hide it? Let me know in the comments. Until then, see you.